Good morning, guys. So in this video I'm going to be servicing my Tecumseh on my snapper, and going to change the oil, order one of those nice Oregon shutoffs for it, and probably get a new needle and seat for the carburetor here. So let's pull it out and get it going here. So I'll make sure we're on, turn the gas on, put it to choke. Oh. Try it again here. Not cooperative. It is a little cool out. Probably right around 40. Alright, I'll pull it around and we'll take the oil out of it. Okay, so now that the engine's warmed up, I took the bag assembly off, and I had this old Baraxo can laying around, and I cut it either end of it off. I'm going to slip it underneath there to let the oil get in my pan, because if you let the oil get under the engine and onto that drive pulley, this thing ain't moving at all. So that's the lesson I learned last time. So I'm just gonna pop, maybe get this thing. Man, that is on there. Oh, jeez. I'm gonna go get a mallet. All right, so with some persuasion, I got it loose. So now I'm just gonna hand undo it here, and we'll see how much gas is in my oil, which I imagine is quite a bit. Well, it's black. I can definitely smell some gas in that. Definitely needed to be changed, that's for sure. So I'm going to let this drain out. Yeah, it's way too watery, and it's a little chunky. Let that drain out, and we'll run to the store and pick up some things. And I'm thinking cranking this thing over by hand is just, it's a chore. So I was thinking of seeing how much a battery might be, and I might rig up the starter again with the battery. And then the lap of luxury is you just push a button and it starts. So let me go to the store and pick up a few things. Well, this is the electrical system that I have, and if you can tell, that wire's kind of gone. But I did buy a new battery for it, and I'm gonna use this and just kind of squirt off any connectors that it has for it. The push button still feels good, and everything else seems okay besides that one wire, but none of the safeties are hooked up. So the only thing I want it for is for the starter. So other than that, we'll see if it works for us here. So let me clean off all the connectors, and we'll hook everything up here. Alright, so I went and picked up a Bi-Mart battery here, and that upper left there says Made in USA. So it was a $30 battery with a $6 cord charge, but if you bring in the old battery, then they waive the cord charge fee. So I hooked it up. Make sure when you're doing it that you have a good ground. My ground was a little rusted out, so I had to get my wire brush here and make sure that was clean. And the old negative terminal on the battery I had to grind off because it was so caked in rust and gunk. But hooked it up. I rigged the starter back on. There's the starter. I don't know if this thing has a charging system or not. It might, but I need a fuse to go in there. But anyway, when you push the button, it turns it over, so that probably hasn't worked since, I'd say, at least 6 years. I've only owned it for 3, I think, but the gentleman I picked it up from, it had that battery on it, and I tried to get the starter system to work, but I just didn't have the money at the moment. And for the moment, pulling it over was pretty easy, but now with the lap of luxury, we can just sit on the chair and push a button. So I'll button this back up. I had this off so I could check my pulley and my belt, and they look all right. I know my blade could probably use a sharpening, so I'll do that. But the oil I used was a SAE 30, because on the side of the motor here there's a sticker, and my shaky hands probably don't help, but it says summertime use SAE 30 and winter use 5W30. So we just filled it up with almost a full quart of SAE 30 right there. And as you can tell, my paint job is not holding up very well with how hot this thing gets. But give her a good hose down, because it's got a lot of this crusty junk on it. And hose her down, sharpen her blade, and we'll try firing her up here with the new starter and see if the safety switches are bypassed so I can actually start it. Here's a service tip, guys. Since I have all this stuff laying around on it, it's good to check underneath this shroud, your cylinder head, and you see all the grass caked on there. That can cause overheating and blowing of your head gasket. So it's always good to take that off and blow all this crap out, or else your engine might overheat and blow your head gasket, like I said before. And also, don't take out that spark plug when all this junk's around, because then you can have a bunch of crap go down into your cylinder, and we don't want that. So I'm going to blow all this off, and in order to do that, I got to go to Harbor Freight, because my air hose decided to have a big crack in it. So I'm going to go pick up a new one, and I'll catch you guys back here. All right, I made it back from Harbor Freight. Picked up another box of gloves, a nice air gun with a swivel connector, a set of air gun connectors, and then a new rubber hose there, and the battery charger I got for Christmas. So I didn't get that, but they were having the 25% off thing, so it was kind of a zoo. But let me hook up that air hose with the nice blowgun here, and we'll blow off the head on that motor. Alright, so I got my airline hooked up with my new nozzle. It's a pretty nice connector. And I do have safety glasses on and hearing protection, because getting tinnitus is not a pleasant experience for those of you who don't know what that is. That is ringing of the ears, and that's what it does constantly. Your ears just ring. So let's go ahead and blast all this junk off. Alright, so we'll put the muffler back on. And the bolts on the muffler came out so easy because I put anti-seize on them. So whenever you take them out, be sure you put another layer of them on, because as you can see, it kind of burns off. And that just makes taking out the muffler that much easier if you do that simple little thing. So I'll check these head bolts and make sure they're tight, and then I'll button everything back up here. Nice thing about snappers is that you can tilt them on their rear end to gain access to the deck. So this is the deck after I've painstakingly labored and put multiple coats of primer and paint on it. This is what I get. And that's a newer blade. So definite wear. But, I mean, the grass isn't sticking to it. It's only sticking up here. So that's not bad. But my blade is definitely dull for being a somewhat new blade. So I'll get this thing off and sharpen it and stick it back on here. For sharpening this thing, I find that if you grind in like your main blade and then come back with a wire wheel and knock the burr off and then put it on your bench and do a final hand file, you're left with this super razor blade for a blade, which is exactly what you want. So if you just take your file and rub it on the back side, you push that burr over, and then you come back and match your angle on the front side. That'll knock your burr off and leave you this really nice sharp edge. So I'll do this to the other side, and we'll throw the blade back on here. Alright, so we got it bolted back on. These are 3/4 inch bolts. And now it's a good time to scrape the underside of your deck, because all this excess grass will make it more difficult for you to bag it, because it interferes with the vacuum that it generates. So I'll keep on working on this, but while it's up in the air, it's a good idea to look at your boots here, make sure there's no cracks, and also look at your drive pulley there. I replaced this one when I rebuilt it, and it looks alright. Actually, I might want to tighten those. Those are a bit loose. We don't want to lose that, and we'll keep track of that and throw it back down and see if she'll start up for us. Alright, so it's back down on all fours. I topped off the gas tank, turned the fuel valve on, which I do have one coming in the mail for it, so don't worry, one of the good ones. And make sure our engine switch is on. Probably give her about half throttle. And now we get to push the button. Oh, so nice. There was a safety switch. There's a safety switch, a neutral safety switch, but it's not hooked up. And the blade engagement safety switch is also not hooked up, because the little, I don't know what you want to call it, the expensive thing inside of here does not work. And the new one is like, I think like 60 or something bucks. But all I really want is to just push this button and have it start for me. That's all we want. Alright. Let's mow some grass, shall we? Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and hope you like this one. And I know it was kind of fun for me finally getting the starter back together on this thing. But until next time, we'll catch you guys in the next video.